What up, guys? It's Ponehammer, and today we find ourselves in Twin Peaks. Why are we playing Twin Peaks? Well, the queue to get into one of the new BGs was over 3 hours, and I was trying to get footage before I had to go home. I had a family emergency and was out of state for a week, so I didn't really have time to do anything. But anyway, we find ourselves playing the monk class today. I grinded out a level 90 monk so I could get footage for you guys, and it sucked because I've never grinded out levels so fast, and I hate leveling. But anyway, as you can see, I grabbed the flag and I wanted to see how fast I could get there with a monk. Probably not as fast as, say, a druid or a rogue, but you still get there fairly quickly with all of your movement cooldowns. But anyway, if you haven't had a chance to play a monk, in my opinion, they're freaking awesome. They bring a ton of utility and decent damage, and they're just fun to play because you never feel like you're just standing there beating on someone waiting for something to regenerate. You always have some sort of ability, but that's the nice thing about having two resources, but two resources can also be a pain to manage, as we've all found out when we first rolled a DK. And now multiple classes have multiple resources, but it's okay. So what's a monk's resources? Our main resource is energy, similar to that as a feral druid or a rogue. Use certain abilities, they take energy, and energy regenerates quickly over time. And our other resource is chi. Chi is generated through using certain abilities such as jab, which is your ability to generate chi, obviously. And our three main DPS abilities are Tiger's Palm, Rising Sun Kick, and Blackout Kick, all of which use chi. Rising Sun Kick and Blackout Kick use 2, and Tiger's Palm use 1. From what I've seen and what I've been playing, you always use Rising Sun Kick when it's off cooldown, Blackout Kick when you have 2 chi, and Tiger's Palm when you have 1 or you're trying to get some energy to regenerate. So what do these abilities do? Well, Tiger's Palm, again, after I read this, you will see monks bring an insane amount of utility for a melee class, which is amazing. I think Blizzard just built them to be a PvP class, which is fine by me. It's all I do. Of course, I suck right now because this is my first BG as a monk, and I don't really know all my cooldowns and still placing them on my action bars. So yeah, that ability right there was Fist of Fury. I'll get to it later. But anyway, Tiger's Palm. Tiger's Palm is just your eat chi, I guess would be a good way to put it. Eat chi ability, kind of like, is it Heroic Toss? It's the ability warriors always use to eat their rage when they're generating too much. Heroic Swing, that's what it is. But anyway, Tiger Eyes Palm adds a buff to you. When you use it 3 times, it's at its max stack, which is 3, and every stack adds 10% ignoring of armor, I guess would be a good way to put that. So at 3 stacks, you ignore 30% of the target's armor, which is freaking awesome. That means as a monk, you always have a Sunder on whatever you're targeting. Of course, it doesn't work similar to a warriors or rogues where everyone gets it. It's just for you. But who cares? In PvP, it's almost impossible to stack Sunders. We all know it, but people try it. Rising Sun Kick, this is your highest DPS ability as far as I can tell. And it does have, I think, a 6-second cooldown. But anyway, it costs 2 chi to use, and when you use it, not only does it increase the damage that the target takes from all your abilities by 10%, it also adds immortal wounds, which if you don't know and You should if you play WoW and you're watching this video, but neither here nor there. The target takes 10% less healing, which in PvP that's amazing. It just means they take less healing from competent healers, hopefully, and it's harder for them to keep up. And as I said, you're going to see monks bring a ton of utility. Alright, the other main ability we have is Blackout Kick, which you might see me use on the shaman who's trying to bait me out and raffle stomp me. Like I said, elemental shamans are awesome in MOP. Well, at least they are currently. But Blackout Kick is going to be your second highest DPS ability. If you hit somebody from behind, which can be difficult in PvP, I'm not going to lie. But if you do manage, it deals 20% additional damage as a dot over 4 seconds. There is a glyph that lets it always do this, no matter where the target is compared to you facing it. But in PvP, the other ability, you wouldn't want to use the glyph anyway, in my opinion. And that is, when you're in front of the target and use Blackout Kick, it heals you for 20% of the damage you've done. Which is awesome. It means you got basically a passive heal as a melee DPS. And already you have a bunch of heals because you're a monk. You'll see me use an ability called Zen Sphere, which is the giant bubble that's floating over my head. It heals me over time for 2 chi, and if I need a big heal, I can hit the same button again and it'll explode and he'll give me a fairly decent size heal. And it has no cooldown, it's just based on how much chi you have. And our other main heal is Expel Harm. Expel Harm is just kind of like a word of glory. It just heals you for a set amount and has a fairly decent cooldown. Excuse me. However, Expel Harm's what makes Expel Harm awesome is it will deal damage to an enemy within 10 yards for 50% of the damage heal. Your heal hurts people, which is awesome. Like I said, monks have a ton of utility, which is why a lot of people say they're OP. But in my opinion, they're not. They're just a melee class that's useful. And I know people are like, Ponehammer, you're just hating on melee classes. No, it's not true. Before I played my mage, I've played a paladin, a DK, and a warrior. All I played was melee classes. My mage was just a caster I made just because I wanted a caster. But back to monk abilities. One of our other main abilities is Disable. Very similar to a warrior's hamstring, except it has the glyph already built into it. Meaning, when you use it the first time, it adds a 50% slow. Awesome. When you use it a second time, roots the target in place for 3 seconds. Might be 2, I'm not looking at it right now. Which is also awesome. Another ability we have is called Fist of Fury. You saw me use it very early in the game on that shaman where I was standing in place casting a channel. Basically, the target takes so much damage while you're channeling, but they can't move because while you're channeling them, they're stuck in a stun. So your allies could also beat on them. And there's a glyph that while you're channeling, increases your parry to 100%. Which is amazing. I just love the way monks are working, and sadly I'm probably going to reroll. And people are just going to troll on me because they think I hopped to the most OP class. Well, I'm just getting tired of my mage, and I've always liked the visual aid you got from a melee class. And since as a monk, you literally punch people in the face, that's awesome. With a mage, you just kind of light them on fire and they fall over. That's not as cool in my opinion. Let's see. Next ability, Spinning Fire Blossom. I don't think I used it at all in this BG because I'm still getting used to a monk. But this is not an ability to be taken lightly. It's very confusing the way it's worded. And what it is it does Hang on, I'm going to pull it up so I can read you the ability and I don't screw it up. Here we go. Deals so much fire damage to the first enemy target in front of you within 50 yards. If spinning fire blossom travels further than 10 yards, the damage is increased by 50% and you root the target for 10 seconds. That's awesome. That means you have a long range root as a melee class, and it makes it more difficult for ranged classes to get away from you, which in this expansion is very easy to keep melee classes at bay. It just is, and it's probably going to suck and it's probably going to get nerfed, but we'll see. Because I'm with many people in the forums, I feel there's too much CC in this game currently. I think if every class lost 1 CC, maybe even 2 for some classes, it would just be a better game. Now, what's our main DPS cooldown as a monk? Well, as a Windwalker, you have 2, and that is Tiger Eye Brew and Zhuen, the White Tiger. Zhuen is a level 90 talent and not everybody will take him. I don't see why, because he's freaking amazing. But anyway, Tiger Eyes Brew is a stacking DPS cooldown. How can I explain this well? As a monk, like I said, most of your abilities use chi, which is why I use jab, because it generates chi. And every time you spend 4 chi, you generate a Tiger Eye Brew. Tiger Eye Brew is a stacking buff that increases your damage by 2% per stack when you use the cooldown. When you don't, it's just an icon on the top right of your screen that shows a stack of up to 10 times. And it lasts up to 2 minutes, so you can save a stack potentially, charge into a guy on arena and just blow him up. Because when you use the cooldown, you have essentially up to 20% additional damage. It's a little confusing at first, but I like the way it works. It allows you to pop it when you want it, not when you have to. Similar to some warriors' abilities, like the way their enrage works as Fury. Okay, and Zhuen, the White Tiger, which if you don't take him as a Windwalker, I don't know what to say. Your choices are Rushing Jade Wind, which is a weird ability that just increases their damage they take from your spinning crane kick, which is just like an AoE. Ooh. And Chi Torpedo. And Chi Torpedo isn't bad, but compared to Zhuen, I like it better. Chi Torpedo, it changes your roll, which is very similar to a Mage's Blink. You deal so much damage to targets in front of you and heal allies in your path. It replaces roll. But Zhuen is an actual cooldown. Very high DPS cooldown too. Let me read the tooltip for you. Invokes White Tiger Celestial, summoning an effigy at the command of the caster. The effigy will assist you, attacking your primary target and also inflicting Tiger Lightning every 6 seconds to 3 nearby enemies within 10 yards, dealing 1,585 damage over 5 seconds. Lasts 45 seconds. The damage is a lot higher than that because the tooltip I'm reading is not... It's at level 10, I think that's when you get it. I don't know. Currently, I do believe it's 32,000 every 6 seconds, which is awesome. Alright. Monks also have a charge. It's not really similar to a warrior's charge, because a warrior, you just target someone and you charge at them. A monk, you have to be facing a direction and you use your charge, and it'll keep going unless you use charge again, which you'll slam the ground, it'll slow your targets and deal damage. Now there's a glyph, I do believe, as a brewmaster that lets it hit your first target in your path, taking the control out of it, but you can also use it as an escape route, which is awesome. it takes a while to get used to, but once you do, I feel it's more effective than charge. Alright, another ability that has to be mentioned is Touch of Karma. Touch of Karma is very unique. What it does is you place Touch of Karma on a target, and all damage that you take is instead done to that target up to your maximum health. And since we do have a health and damage reduction cooldown, you could pop that, get a bunch of people try to annihilate you, put it on a healer, and watch the healer just die because they can't keep up with the amount of damage you're taking. Now, you'd probably have to sacrifice yourself for such a thing, but the idea of it is just amazing. I love it. I love watching healers kill themselves. I have got to experience it since I am recording the audio after the fact this video was taken. Okay, next ability worth mentioning is Grapple Weapon. Grapple Weapon is OP and I see it getting nerfed. Right now it's a 40-yard range disarm. You steal a target's weapon up to 40 yards. And not only that, but if the weapon is better than the weapons you are carrying currently, you deal 5% additional damage and an increased 5% heal. I don't see that being in the game for very long because it's a little OP. And as I mentioned before, Expel Harm. Expel Harm is our heal, and it deals 50% damage as the heal. Okay, what makes monks so fun to play is a lot of their abilities work passively that makes them awesome, such as sparring. Sparring, as you target or as you fight an enemy face to face, you start to spar. I'm gonna see if I can find the actual tooltip so I can not screw up the wording here.
Not ready yet.
I'm sorry, I can't find it. But anyway, sparring, as it is currently, stacks up to 3 times, increases your parry by 15%. That's not as OP as it sounds, but what is OP is you can get a glyph that not only increases your chance to deflect melee attacks, you can deflect spells, meaning if you're sparring someone and a caster decides to cast on you, you can deflect their spells, just ignoring the damage, which I like a lot. I also like how a monk is an evolving melee class. If you use a staff, you gain 40% attack speed to make up for the loss of attack speed from using 2 one-handers. And if you use 2 one-handers, you gain 40% increased damage. However, I don't see many monks in PvP anyway not using 2 one-handers. Me personally, I'm using fist weapons right now, so I see the animation of me punching dudes in the face. There's a glyph that always makes it you punch people in the face, but neither here nor there. I'd love to see a monk running around with the talons from Alar and the BC Radii. Okay, what else is cool about a monk? We can also place healing spheres. Healing spheres are just a heal that you drop on the ground. Not only that, but when you kill an enemy that yields experience or honor, you have a 50% chance to drop one. And I've seen my own healing spheres heal me for about 41k, 50k, and I'm not a healer. So basically keeps you in the fight while you're fighting, which is awesome. There's a glyph that increases the chance for them to drop by 25%, and as a Windwalker, there's an ability that lets you drop chi spheres. Basically, if you're at max chi, you can drop a chi sphere as a Windwalker and pick it up and gain your chi back, which is also very useful. I think the most fun thing they did, which you will see at the end of the video, is monks have a glyph that gives them flight form. I don't know why they decided to make monks not have normal flight speed on it, but whatever, I guess. Way to go, Blizz. It's okay. I'm sure it'll be buffed in main game because enough people will complain. Oh, let's see. Of course, we have our Spear Hand Strike, which is our interrupt. Nothing special there. I'm trying to make sure I didn't miss anything. There's Energizing Brew, which you can get as a monk, which restores 60 energy over 6 seconds. Can only be used in combat. Basically, it makes sure you always have something to spend. Here's one I missed. Adaptation. When you are disarmed, your chance to dodge is increased by 25%. It's very nice. Basically, it means when you disarm a monk, they're not completely useless, like a paladin. Which is why if you see a paladin not using a weapon chain, you can laugh at them. And if anyone says otherwise, sorry about your luck. In BGs and RBGs, it's alright, but if you do it in arena, I'm just going to disarm and laugh at you, as you can't do anything. The mastery is as a monk, it just lets you get insta-cast jab, or Tiger Eye, Tiger Palm, and Blackout Kicks. It sounds a lot more, it sounds very useful, and it pretty much is, so I don't know what we're going to be stacking as a monk, as I haven't got a chance to play with them in live much as anyone else has, and you saw I did the best in the room. And that was my first time playing a monk. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video, and here's a nice little sample of a monk on our cloud. Yay. Thanks for watching, guys. Watch the credits, I guess, and remember to like and favorite, please.